If I were to describe the GameSir G8 Plus in a single word, it would probably be astonishing. Or maybe amazing. Or maybe incredible? Actually, I might even just go with perfect. You get the idea. If you've seen my previous review of the original G8 Galileo, then you know that I loved that controller. But the G8 Plus takes the exact same controller and everything that was good about it, and somehow makes it all better. And it does all of that whilst taking one of the biggest steps back it could have possibly taken, by removing the physical USB-C connector and making it completely wireless. Or primarily wireless at least. For some people, the G8 Plus being a primarily Bluetooth controller might be a deal breaker immediately, and I totally understand that. But if you don't mind a Bluetooth controller, stick around and hear me out, because I'll tell you why this is not only the best mobile controller available, but why I believe that it is one of the greatest pieces of gaming technology ever released to the market. Yes, I am really excited about this one. Before I go on, I do want to say a huge thanks to GameSir for sending me this controller to review. However, they haven't seen the video before it's gone live, nor did they have any influence over it. And just a personal note, I love these controllers so much I've bought 3 G8s, 2 G8 Pluses, and I've bought a Plus for my friend as well. I just really like it. Anyway, first of all, let's cover some common ground with the original G8. Because the G8 Plus is the exact same controller. All of the buttons, the D-pad, and the analog stick are all the same, as are the triggers and the bumpers. Everything here is positioned as it was on the original, for better or for worse. I know that some people had an issue with the placement of the screenshot and mode buttons being too close to the D-pad. I personally never found this to be an issue for me, but if you did on the original G8, just be aware that it's the same here on the Plus. The controls here are exceptionally good, especially for this market and this price point. And if it wasn't for the absolute S9's slightly better face buttons, I would say that the G8 and the G8 Plus have the best controls in the telescopic controller market. Rather than go over all of this again, here's a quick recap from my original G8 review video.
All in all, when it comes to controls, it's really hard to criticize the G8. Nearly everything is perfect except for that friction ring issue. And yet, even with all that in mind, this controller still blows away the competition, in every conceivable way. There is no controller I would buy for my smartphone except for this one.
So basically what you're getting here is a full console quality gamepad for your phone, tablet, or whatever else, with full-size analog sticks, and excellent responsive buttons, analog triggers, and everything else. It's just awesome. And so of course that begs the question, what makes the Plus so much better than the original G8? And for me, it comes down to a number of features. But in my opinion, the number one aspect of this controller that makes it so good is its flexibility. You'll notice that it's slightly wider than the original G8. And that's because natively, it can support up to an 8-inch tablet, such as the Lenovo Legion Y700. This extra length really adds to the possibilities of this controller. Of course, you can mod the original G8 to support a tablet, but that was kind of a sketchy process. However, I can hear fans of the original G8 Plus right now saying, Shem, didn't modding the original G8 make it work on bigger tablets than 8 inches? And yes, that is correct. But believe it or not, the G8 Plus has you covered. If you look at this extra little piece in the center here, it actually facilitates you simply popping out the left side of the controller. And you can do this right out of the box, no modding required. And that means that you can just pop this controller open and add practically any device that you want into it, including even a 12-inch tablet and potentially beyond. To put all this into perspective, the G8 Plus works with this, with this, with this, with this, and even with this. But the flexibility isn't just about the size of the device that it can hold. The G8 Plus also supports 4 different input modes: PlayStation mode, Android mode, Nintendo Switch mode, and G-Touch, the latter being GameSir's screen mapping technology. However, because it's Bluetooth based, you can connect this controller to literally anything, and you don't need to worry about the position of USB-C ports or connectors. You don't have to risk damaging your device or the controller itself. You don't have to worry about accidentally pressing power buttons. And I think this is just amazing for many reasons. For me, it's kind of a petty thing. When I'm gaming on my tablet with this controller, I really prefer to have it sticking out toward the top rather than being in the middle of the controller. I just think it makes it a more comfortable experience. Another testament to the flexible nature of the G8 Plus is that it also works with the Nintendo Switch, and the original G8 didn't at all. Not only that, but they've actually designed the rubber on the edges to fit inside the Joy-Con rails. And this makes for an incredibly seamless Nintendo Switch experience, that in my opinion is not only one of the best looking Switch setups around, but it's some of the best controls you can get on Switch as well. And the gyroscope works perfectly on Switch as well. And finally, one more great benefit is that you don't actually need to insert anything into this controller. It can work totally standalone. It might look a little funky in practice, but it does work and it works well. And again, the G8 is a fantastic controller regardless of being a telescopic one. And I'm a guy that has all sorts of funky ideas. And my first thought here was to add a portable keyboard and trackpad setup in the middle of the G8 Plus. And just like that, you have a controller complete with a keyboard and mouse in your hands while you're sitting on the couch and gaming. It is super convenient and I just love it. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you might not have thought of this particular setup, and in my opinion that's just a testament to how flexible the G8 Plus really is. You also might think I'm ridiculous for even thinking of this, and that's okay. If you just cannot stand the latency of a Bluetooth connection, you can either buy a separate 2.4 GHz dongle, the one that was originally for the T4 Cyclone, or you can connect directly with your device using a USB-C cable. And that does also include the Nintendo Switch for latency-free gameplay. I genuinely don't think I've ever seen a product with this much flexibility, and so many possibilities in terms of use cases. And I honestly think that the whole thing is just kind of a lightning strike stroke of genius. In my case, I've been primarily using this controller with this chewy MiniBook X laptop. And just the fact that I'm able to strap this controller onto a full, genuine x86 laptop is wild to me, even if it is kind of a small one. So anyway, let's talk about a few of the additional features of the G8 Plus. The first is rumble, which the original G8 didn't have at all. And this is definitely a nice addition, especially when you're playing something like the Nintendo Switch. This isn't HD rumble or haptics or anything like that, but it feels pretty good overall. The only problem here is that because of the nature of this controller, the vibration feels pretty different between the two halves. The right hand side has a kind of buzzy and tight vibration, no doubt due to it being the denser half, whereas the left side is kind of rumbly and slow. And whereas I wouldn't say that this has bothered me in game, it's definitely noticeable. All that said, I'd be more disappointed if this controller didn't have rumble than I am that it's just kind of sketchy. By the way, I haven't had any problems getting the vibration to work with Steam, old PC games, the Switch, or any Android device. It just works across the board. There's plenty of hardware customization available here too. The faceplates are removable and attached with magnets, just like the original G8. So you can take these faceplates off and attach whichever you want. Unfortunately, GameSir haven't started selling additional faceplates yet as far as I'm aware. But if you have the original G8 or maybe the Shadow Blade 2, or maybe even the upcoming Lenovo G7, you should just be able to swap in those faceplates if you want to. Unlike the original G8 though, the buttons here are removable as well. You can simply pull them out of their slots and again they're attached with magnets. And you can move these around so that you can have either a Nintendo or an Xbox style layout. This is just an excellent additional quality of life feature that the original G8 didn't have. Of course you can take off the analog sticks and replace those with caps as well. There is of course plenty of onboard and app customization too. In my review of the original G8, I had some pretty choice words about GameSir's sketchy side-loadable app, which violated a bunch of Android safety policies. But I'm very happy to confirm that this issue has now been totally resolved, and that you can now install the app from the Google Play Store and have access to all of its functionality. This includes capabilities for firmware updates, controller customization, screen mapping, and more. The software has come a long way from when I last looked at it, and it's pretty darn great now, I think. A small detail that I really appreciate is that you get a link to a PDF copy of the instruction manual, which is great for quickly referencing a few of the onboard features. In this app you can customize the G8 Plus extensively using a simple interface. You can change the button layout between Xbox and Nintendo, you can set the back paddles to any other button on the controller, though you can't record macros in the app. You can adjust the analog stick dead zones, and choose between a circular or raw input. You can set the trigger sensitivity or hair trigger mode, and the vibration strength independently on both sides. The only feature it's missing right now is universal gyroscope, which is actually a major disappointment for me because I'm really looking for that in all of my controllers these days. I hope that maybe they can add it in an update in the future. As for onboard functions, well, the G8 Plus has a ton, which are all detailed in the manual. This includes 3-speed turbo, hair trigger toggles, back paddle mapping, back paddle macro recording, input mode switching, button layout switching, gyroscope calibration, analog stick calibration, stick input style switching between raw and circular, dongle synchronization in case you want to use a dongle, factory reset, and my absolute favorite, volume control, which means that you can adjust the connected device's volume right here on the controller. So all in all, I think that the GameSir G8 Plus is a phenomenal and impressive controller. But there is one kind of iffy thing about it, and that is the battery. In my experience, it feels like the battery drains quite a lot when the controller's powered off. And there have been a few times where I've gone to play and the controller's just dead. It only took a few times of that happening to remind me to always charge the controller, but it's still kind of annoying. It's also important to understand how the battery works in this controller because there's actually two of them. There's a battery on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. While you have the controller open and you plug in a USB-C cable, only the right-hand side battery will charge. In order for the left-hand side to charge, the controller has to be completely closed. And again, I find this to be just kind of a frustrating experience. What I really want to do is to leave my device in this controller and just plug it into charge, but that's just not possible. It also feels kind of weird that these two batteries can get out of sync, and you can view the levels of them in the GameSir app. I guess this won't happen as long as you charge it correctly, but it is kind of strange. The battery frustration aside though, there's really not a lot more negative I have to say about this controller. Usually at this point of the video, I'd give you my likes and dislikes. But to be honest, I have to say I love absolutely everything about this controller, outside of a few very minor things. So I'm just going to tell you specifically what I dislike, and well, I've already said everything I do like. So my first major dislike is the lack of universal gyroscope. This is really a feature I'm looking for in all of my controllers these days, and I do find it really absent on this. I've gotten used to playing a lot of games on Android with the gyroscope, and it's frustrating to not have it here. Next, I really don't like the weird battery setup. I wish I could just leave my device inserted into this controller, plug it in, and know that it's going to charge. I'm guessing this is some technical limitation of connecting the two sides together and having them charge. But suffice to say, it's pretty disappointing that you can't just leave your device in there and charge the controller. And finally, whereas I'm happy that vibration is present on this controller, I do wish that they had taken the time to dial in these two sides and make them vibrate in the same way, because it is kind of strange that they're completely different from one another. So that's my review of the GameSir G8 Plus. I have to say again that I think this is one of the greatest pieces of gaming technology ever released to the market. It's one of the most flexible controllers ever made, and it seems to work with absolutely everything. You can insert any device into the middle of it, or none at all, or even a keyboard or something like that. It can be customized extensively in both hardware and software, and this just really seems to be a do-it-all controller. To me, it feels like the team making this decided that they wanted to capture absolutely every possible use case that anybody could have. Whether it's connecting with Bluetooth, dongle, or a wire, having Nintendo or Xbox layouts, having an out-of-the-box way to open this controller up and support bigger devices. It's just a pretty amazing stroke of genius in my opinion. So if you're looking for a telescopic controller that can do it all, I really recommend picking up the GameSir G8 Plus. The only concession, of course, is that this is a primarily Bluetooth controller, and so you're going to know if that's for you or not. For me personally, I haven't had any issues with latency, and it all seems to work pretty well. But for casual gaming with a smartphone, tablet, Switch, or whatever else you want, there's nothing in my opinion that comes close to the G8 Plus. If you're interested in picking up one of these for yourself, please go ahead and check the links in the description box below. I've tried to find the cheapest price for this on AliExpress and Amazon. They are affiliate links, so if you do choose to buy one, I do get a small kickback at no cost to you, and it helps you support the channel. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and leave a like on it, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for upcoming videos. If you know somebody who might be interested in the G8 Plus, go ahead and share this review with them as well. And that's this one done. Thank you very much for watching Retro Breeze, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.